Stephen taught middle school social studies at St. Vincent de Paul in Phoenix, Arizona. And as is often the case with our ACE teachers, Stephen's title as middle school social studies teacher only barely scratches the surface of his legacy. As volleyball coach, as founder of his school's youth group, and as a person of faith who will be ministering to high school students in Belize as he enters into religious formation later this summer, Stephen bears witness to a life of full flourishing in service to others that rests at the very heart of our mission as the Alliance for Catholic Education. So please join me in welcoming Stephen Kurt to the platform this evening.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to take this next couple hours of your time. Why are we laughing? To take this as a part 2 of my integrated seminar talk from this past summer, and to review the first part, I'd like to have Michael Averill give us the first couple review points. So, Michael, if you will. No, I'm just kidding. That was your last cold call of being an ACE, so you survived. But in all seriousness, like Kate said, my name is Stephen Kurt, and I am so grateful to be this year's ACE Teaching Fellows Commencement Speaker. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the ACE staff, faculty, and my fellow classmates for selecting me to be this year's speaker. During these past 2 years, we've grown incredibly close as a cohort and have learned so much. From sand volleyball games to class, praying together in adoration, every experience that we have had together has brought us to this weekend. The last time when we as a cohort will be together to share and grow together. As anyone who has stepped into a classroom knows that setting expectations is key to helping students succeed. And we're going to take a step back into our time at ACE, where we've seen expectations be met, not met, and yes, even exceeded. So like I said, throughout our time at ACE, we've learned that setting high expectations is one of the most important things that we as teachers can do to help our students succeed both in and outside of the classroom. And we first learned this when we went to class for the first time, and we were asked to line up outside the classroom, wait silently in line, standing right behind the person in front of you without touching the wall. And we went unexpectedly from being treated as adults, as being cold called and I sound like Michael Averill here, to being treated like 11-year-olds in a junior high. Our professors used a role-playing strategy to help us understand how we should best set these expectations for our students, beginning with how we organize our classroom entrance procedures on day 1. And I don't know about you, but I was really thrown back. They made us go back to the most awkward periods of our lives to relive that. And you know what? I'm grateful for it. And I took these lessons, and the first day of school approached quickly. And I implemented some of these techniques we learned. Some of the expectations I kept throughout the school year, and others were left in the dust when I realized they actually weren't helpful for my students' success because I was doing them wrong. The best expectation that I set for my 5th and 6th graders, though, was that we need to wear deodorant and shower every day. And if you know anything about the Phoenix area, pretty hot. 113 this time of year. And it's like that all the time. And after the first recess duty, my students came in, and there was just a certain odor that I could just not quite put my finger on. And I quickly realized that the odor was not something dead in my classroom. They did not hide milk in my classroom to let it seep into the walls over the summer. But no, it was my students themselves. So that day, I set the expectation that we should be wearing deodorant every single day. Every single day. And I can successfully say by the end of my 2 years in ACE, teaching the same group of students for both years, some of them wore deodorant, some of the days. And that is the expectation when they were met. Yes, thank you for that. That's a middle school teacher right there. And throughout our time at ACE, our expectations were met just the way we all expected. And I think the best example of this is where is she? Lydia Heinen, raise your hand. Oh, there she is. When Lydia Heinen became our prom queen. After a long and difficult campaign in our group meet, the expectation that we set that she would be crowned prom queen became a reality almost 1 year ago today. Lydia, we have all appreciated the things you have accomplished during your reign as our prom queen, so we thank you. And sometimes the expectations that we set in our classroom are not met. For example, this year, I decided to take my students on a field trip. There were 6th graders, 50 of them. And I taught them in 5th grade, and they really wanted a field trip really badly, but I was not mentally, physically, spiritually prepared to take 5th and 6th graders to somewhere not at the school. So I decided to take them to the Earth and Space Expedition Center in Phoenix, Arizona. And we are all super excited for this. They've been building this expectation for a really long time. And it was the first field trip they've been on in 3 years. And I found this place online and it had some of the greatest reviews I've ever seen for an educational trip. I'm talking 4.9 stars on Google. Incredible pictures of spacesuits and galaxies, and reviews that quoted this center as a phenomenal experience. What a hidden find. I had a blast, and I'm 49 years old. Proof it's for kids of all ages. This review from a 49-year-old convinced me, so I booked the field trip. $500 later for the trip and $1,000 for the bus, we were ready to go. And we were also going to get to an activity where we made a model of a space probe that would land on one of Jupiter's moons. We're going to see a planetarium and a light show, an electricity demonstration, and needless to say, I and my students were super duper excited. This is going to be the coolest field trip in the world, and it was all set up by me, Mr. Kurt. And our expectations were set pretty high. Then we arrived. Turns out this amazing science center that was a phenomenal experience was actually an abandoned school in Phoenix that they renovated into the Earth and Space Expedition Center. The planetarium was an inflatable dome with a projected PowerPoint that a guy kept clicking through. The light show was a man with a light bulb and an electrical outlet. And needless to say, this 4.9 star rated museum was a bit of a letdown. So when I asked if they enjoyed the field trip, my student said, it was okay. The bus ride was fun. And this is coming from a group of students who would have been super excited to go to a small field of grass, as long as they didn't have to be at school. Because grass is hard to come by in Phoenix. And although the expectations were not met, it provided us a really awesome opportunity to grow closer together, and we created a lasting memory where we all now get to laugh at to this day. Think about the expectations that you set about at practicum. Were they met? I can confidently say that for the people at the Robinson Community Learning Center, the expectation that our students would be called by their first name was not met. We quickly realized this when Daniel, a hilarious 5th grader, began to write Batman on his paper and exclusively referred to himself as Batman. Sometimes we can learn a lot from the unmet expectations, and I learned that I have never seen Batman and Daniel in the same room. So, by the transitive property of addition, Daniel is Batman. When we set expectations for our students and we support them in meeting those expectations, they're amazed at all that they can accomplish. And whether you know it or not, 2 years ago, you set expectations for what your time at ACE was going to be like. You might have had an idea of what your community was going to do, what your students would sound like during individual work, how long staff meetings were going to be, and how you would change as a person. And sometimes those expectations were met when your students were working hard on the assignment that you gave them, and you thought, man, I'm such a great teacher. They might have been met after an amazing community prayer where people were vulnerable and you became closer together as a community. Or they might have been met when you all laughed during the community dinner over something funny your students did. Meeting the expectations is part of what helps us grow as people. And other times, like I mentioned, those expectations were not met, and we fell short in our community, our classroom, or our relationship with Christ. We are all called to have an intentional relationship with Christ, and oftentimes things like lesson planning, grading, and the hustle and bustle of being a new teacher get in the way of developing this important relationship. When we forget about this relationship, our expectations of what Christ can do for us changes. We forget about the amazing things he can do and the support, love, and mercy he gives to his people. It is in the moments of unmet expectations that we truly learn and grow. One of the most profound lessons about expectations can be found in a story from the New Testament, the call of Peter. Now, Peter has spent his whole entire life as a fisherman, and if you ask me, he's probably pretty good at his job, just like we are at teaching. However, Peter's been fishing all night, and he has caught nothing. He's defeated. And it is this moment a strange man walks up to him and tells him to go out into the deep water and cast your net onto the other side of the boat and just see what happens. Peter thinks this guy is crazy and expects nothing is going to happen, but for some strange reason, he decides to do as he is asked. All of a sudden, the net becomes full of fish and he needs to get another boat. He is in shock, and his expectation that this strange man is crazy has now changed. So this man is a miracle worker, the Messiah. He recognizes this and asks Jesus to depart from him because he is a sinful man. Peter is called to leave everything behind and follow Christ, and once again, out of faith, Peter leaves and follows Jesus. This story teaches us several lessons about expectations. First, it shows us that sometimes we need to defy what we think we know and set bold, audacious expectations. Second, it reminds us that even when things seem unlikely or impossible, faith and perseverance can lead to extraordinary outcomes. And third, it describes the importance of humility and recognizing that ultimately our expectations are subject to God's will. In our own lives and careers, we often encounter situations like Peter, where our expectations are challenged. Perhaps we set high hopes for a lesson plan only to find it doesn't resonate with our students quite like you thought they would. Or maybe we anticipated a smooth school year only to face unexpected challenges and setbacks. These moments can be disheartening, but they can also present opportunities for growth and learning. When our expectations are not met, it is crucial to reflect on why this might be. Was there something we overlooked? Did we set unrealistic goals? Or perhaps like Peter, are we being called to trust in a higher purpose or explore a different path? In my own experience as a teacher, I've learned that setting realistic yet ambitious expectations is key. About finding that balance between pushing students to reach their full potential while also providing support and guidance they need along the way. Sometimes, like the infamous field trip to the Earth and Space Expedition Center, things don't go as planned. But even in those moments, there are opportunities to laugh, learn, and bond with students over shared experiences of unexpected disappointment. Moreover, our time at ACE has not only been about setting expectations for our students, but for ourselves. We came into this program with hopes and dreams of making a difference in education, of fostering a community of learning and growth, and developing a deeper connection to Christ. And along the way, we've had those moments where those expectations were exceeded far beyond what we could imagine. Moments of joy, success, and profound connection. Yes, we faced moments of doubt, frustration, and uncertainty, but through it all, we've persevered. We've learned that resilience is not only built through success, but also through overcoming challenges and adapting to unforeseen circumstances. Each experience, whether met with triumph or disappointment, has shaped us into the people we are today. We've relied on the support systems of the ACE staff, faculty, and our families. Our families went into this experience with even less information than we did. They definitely set expectations for what this experience was going to be like. More likely than not, these past 2 years were not what they expected. But through it all, they've been here with us, cheering us on from afar as we reach the finish line this weekend. Parents and families, we cannot thank you enough for all the hard work you have done to get us to this moment. And as we leave ACE and embark on the next chapter of our careers, let us remember the lessons of setting expectations with wisdom and humility. Let us continue to challenge ourselves and our students to aim high, knowing that even in moments of apparent failure, there is opportunity for growth and transformation. When you let the Lord take control, amazing things can happen beyond your expectations. So graduates, as we step forward into our classrooms, our communities, our futures, may we carry with us the wisdom of setting high expectations, tempered with the grace and faith to navigate the unexpected. May we be inspired by the example of Peter, trusting in Christ's guidance and provision even when the path ahead seems uncertain. And may you continue to learn, laugh, and lead with courage and compassion. Congratulations, ACE 29. Our journey is just beginning, and I have no doubt that we will continue to exceed expectations, both for ourselves and for the countless lives that we will impact. Thank you.